They go to the temple along with our 11-year-old young women.
She would be a second wife. She asked this question: would she be able to have her own house? Would she have to live with her husband and his first wife? I just told her to trust the Lord.
We are instructed to give unto you the law of chastity, which is that the women of God's kingdom and the men of God's kingdom shall have no sexual relations except with those to whom they are legally and lawfully wedded according to his law. Each of you bring your right arm to the square. You and each of you individually covenant and promise before God, angels, and these witnesses that you will observe and keep the law of chastity as it has been explained to you. Each of you bow your head and say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
And young women, please understand that if you dress immodestly, you are magnifying this problem by becoming pornography.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. So even though I did my normal video that I would do right now last night, I was inspired this morning to do this video. And we'll see if we'll continue to do other spotlights of apostates to Mormonism. Now, Travis Wayne Goodsell, full disclosure, because I'm sure you're probably new. 10,000 videos going on 10 years. The perfect 10s. Born and raised in the covenant of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints of the Bergamite origin. And yet, I excelled as the top in my class in English grammar in grade school. I confounded my teachers by telling them that blue is an adjective and is never a noun. Try it. The sky is blue. Blue what? The crayon is blue. Blue what? There's an understood noun that is missing from the sentence. Thus, blue is always an adjective to describe. It was a hairy bear. He was a scary bear. So yes, growing up on Sesame Street, Schoolhouse Rock, Battlestar Galactica, Magnum P.I., and my public school education in Southern California, I knew how to do research. And I would go on, even though I'm going through the motions of church with 100% attender, 100% early morning seminary attender, with the start of the new system of studying scriptures for the church, which they shut down 9 years later. The fruits of studying the scriptures is apostasy. And so they went back to spiritual witness veilings. And went on my mission, New York, associates at Rick's College, a dual bachelor's with a minor, and the guidance counselor had no clue what she was doing. She just wanted to get me graduated and out. But it's anthropology mixed with scientific theory development with a minor in languages. Biblical Hebrew is dead, or not dead. It's still Dark Ages, but transitioning soon into Middle Ages. Latin is the Roman, so that's classical, and Greek also classical. As I would use that knowledge to decipher Paleo-Hebrew. I was contacted yesterday by a woman who found that I go over Paleo-Hebrew. She had informed me that only 4 people that she knows of worldwide know Paleo-Hebrew anymore. And so that's it. Why? I linked her to my academia stuff, and why? Why did you bother to come if that's all you wanted to share, is that you noticed that I'm one of 4? What she doesn't understand, because she didn't go to my academia links, is that I am the foremost and only scholar on Paleo-Hebrew, and that the information that she had acquired is wrong, even though she's one of 4 now, apparently. And so I know the world of being a professional, to use the specific lingo exclusive to my field of expertise. And I therefore know how to decode other fields of science with their secret codes to make them appear to be professional, when in reality, if you knew, you'd just go, oh my God. How did this person get a job? Why are they considered an expert? And so yeah, it's basically anthropology with a focus on the ancient Middle East. That's the courses that I took, and then the guidance counselor threw them all together to make a degree for me to graduate. I only went there to learn what I wanted to learn. I didn't care about any of their programs. None of them were right for me. So I designed my own, and University of Lethbridge accommodated that. They did a special thing just for me. And so when I was forced to go to the University of Utah, background stories, tangents galore. I went to the Hebrew department. It was Middle East department. And I asked, do you guys have a degree in Hebrew? Oh, yeah. You sign right up. Arab studies. Oh, that's Dark Age. Unless you'd use the language, which, well, Arabic was created by Muhammad, came around in that time frame. But yeah, Dark Age. Wrong period of time. And so I wandered around the courses that were available, obtained an ancient Middle Eastern history course, but then found Eva Vasilevska. Oh my God, she is awesome. She is legendary, and the University of Utah hides her and treats her like crap. Oh my God. So I'm concerned that, back in my day, she was having some health problems that was pretty serious. And so if she's still alive, awesome, but I'm not holding my breath. She was a treasure for the University of Utah, and they just abused her. And they do that generally with all of their professors. But her especially, oh my God. I won't go into her with all the stuff that she's accomplished and the uniquenesses that she has done in her publication with the discovery of the human characteristic of Yah. And if you don't know who Yah is, you do know Elijah, right? Yeah, Yah, the God Yah. There he is. And you thought it was a human because you turned the Bible into literal history. Nonetheless. So, coming to Utah, deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, the church attacked. Full-on attack. Joseph Smith is a translator! Go! Kill the beast! Murder! Am I in the right church? This is founded by Joseph Smith, right? The Book of Mormon is our keystone? Is this the wrong church? Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, because I'm an anthropologist, I can go into any field of science, any period of time, any culture around the whole world, any time in history, and do a full research study on them. Spend the rest of my life doing it, and still not finish it, because that's how good I am. And yet, with the modern technologies that we have with the internet, I'm able to share with you certain videos that cover church history or scripture studies with the ancient languages, if they were to be translated correctly, and try to help my audience out. And in the beginning, I was popular. And here comes the church again. Just over the past week, since last Sunday, with the death of Holland, which, yeah, I called out the date for in advance, the church, instead of humbling themselves and going, wow, we didn't realize that the gifts were real. We just thought they were titles. Nope, kill the witch, he's of the devil. Of the devil. And so you'd think that with Mormons against me, wanting me dead, silenced, destroyed, ruined, that ex-foes would come to my rescue. Dun, 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 dun. No. They all shun me. Life as a Mormon. In the beginning of my videos, way back when, I used to eat while talking to you and doing research and stuff like that. So Mormons took that as an opportunity to prove that I'm false because I'm eating during the video and it's distracting. Then sometime later, I found out that Japanese teen girls were watching me, and then they stole that idea from me and turned it into a popular cultural video presentation called mukbang. That was me. Nonetheless, I also am the inventor of the selfie. Way back in, was it my sophomore year, I think? I think that's how old I was in the picture. Because I don't think I had the mustache in it. So it would have been pre-junior year. Because I don't think it was senior year. Moving on. So yes, I am the expert in Mormonism, because I am the anthropologist. There are other people who claim to be anthropologists, and then when I go over their research, there are certain things I check for to check their professionality, and they all fail. My YouTube videos, in case you're wanting to use it against me, are not a professional presentation. Intentionally done. Because if I were to be field specific, nobody would understand me. And so instead, I speak the common lingua franca. Français franca. Parlez-vous français avec moi? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Pas de moi, est-ce que vous avez du grape au pain? Mais bien sûr. So, John Dehlin, we'll start off with him, with this unique series of apostate Mormons. Maybe we'll make a playlist for it. Apostate LDS playlist. We'll see. I mean, this video will probably get 1, maybe 3 video views. The focus group for my video channel is specifically Mormons. So it's not technically ex-foes. But ex-foes are the only ones following me. Even though there's only 5 regular ones. And so that's the most thumbs ups I'll get, are 5 per video. And I have to wait for them to finally catch up and watch the video until I see their thumbs up. The rest of them are all thumbs down from both Mormons and other ex-foes who did not bother to check me out. Just this past week, I finally got around to changing my channel's description to show you, or to at least list off my partial resume of who I am and my accomplishments, and nobody cares, nobody reads it, nobody goes to the homepage. YouTube finally recommended one of my videos for them, and they chose to click on it, and then they have clickers regret and express their frustration with a thumbs down and a hate comment and death threat and false testimonial of how the church is so true. What the hell do you mean by that? Seriously, Mormons, what the hell do you mean by the church is true? Because this church is not the same as Joseph Smith's. So is Joseph Smith's church true, or is this church true? Both of them can't be true because they're not the same. You can't lie to me and say, yeah, they're the same, it's just an evolutionary process. Well, then you're suggesting that Brigham Young was the legitimate successor, and that you have no clue about what's called in Wikipedia the succession crisis. What gives Brigham Young the right and authority to have the authority to lead the church? Did you ever study your scriptures to make sure that he followed them? You didn't. I already know the answer. You should have known the answer. Section 107, verse 22, and 91 and 92. The church denounces the gifts and powers of seer, prophet, and revelator. They don't even claim to have the title of translator. Right then and there, church is not true, they're false. They themselves declare themselves as false. And all Mormons miss it, all ex-foes miss it. And so then I've got to wonder, are you guys illiterate? How did you miss this? Because the majority of you have never even read verse 22 to know that every single conference, when they skip translator, that they're telling us that we have to sustain them with a vote. And you never read verse 22, huh? Do you not understand that the scriptures are the law to govern the church? I was told this all growing up once I became a deacon. Lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson, the Doctrine and Covenants sets out the rules and regulations for your quorum and for the priesthood you now are being given. And that the rights are inseparably connected with the powers of heaven. And I don't memorize, but you know where I'm getting it from, right? Fine, let me put it this way. Amen to the priesthood or the authority of that man. Oh, yeah. Okay, whatever. See, even with Mormonism, I cannot use Mormon lingo. I have to use Mormon pop culture. Nobody will understand me. It's too complicated. Too field specific. And that is sad, because Mormons are not Mormons if you're not following Mormonism, if you're not studying Mormonism. You're in the church and you're not even bothering to study it. You're not wanting to study your church history. I know the church makes it tough. They keep lying to us, putting out alternative facts. And then we're supposed to pray and get the right feeling about how they're so true now, even though they came out and confessed that the previous alternative facts are now wrong, and these new alternative facts are now true, and we just need to pray again like we did previously to get the right feeling that is true. Even though the previous ones are now false, the new ones they promise are true. As a kid, this is pissing me off. As a kid. So, when I pulled up YouTube, this is all we're doing. I'm not going to click on any of his videos. He's a psychologist. Instant fraud alert. I was even told this in my education for theory development of science-based fields. They told us psychology is not a hard science. It's a fraud. It's a pseudoscience. Because they don't use the scientific process. And I just explained the other day again for you of how that is. Stanley Smith Stevens, Mormon, born here in Utah, did his work in Colorado, is all about behavioral studies, outward appearance. Anybody know that scripture from the New Testament about how you're not supposed to judge by the outward appearance? No? Okay, I think it's Thessalonians. I'm not going to look it up. Seriously? It's not even translated correctly. And yet everybody knows about it. It's a true, even though it's incorrectly translated. Outward appearance. Matthew 23, yeah, outwardly appear righteous, but are hypocrites. 2 Corinthians. No, that's not the one. So let's see if the footnote will take us to it. No, it won't. So let's try judge appearance. John. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. That's not the one I was thinking of. But that's a good one. And Timothy, so no, I'm still not finding it. Let's see if the Matthew one, or John one, will link us to the one I'm thinking of. The Joseph Smith translation changes it to traditions, but appearance is traditional. But no, it's still failing. So you'd have to go to the topical guide to figure out what's going on. See, again, wasted time because I don't memorize. And so he does Mormon Stories podcast. That's what made him popular back in his faithful Mormon times, trying to, he knows the church is anti-gay. He doesn't need to play dumb with us. He knows that if he promotes the gay agenda, that the living prophets of Jesus are not going to be happy with him. He knows this. He's Mormon, right? He knows the church isn't going to change, right? And so, yeah, there's some things about John Dehlin that is very suspicious. Not just because he's a psychologist. His interview with Dan, is it Dan? The Three Questions guy on Fox 13. Dan Evans. Yeah. Which way back in 2017 or 18, he became the counselor in the stake presidency out in Draper. And they deleted my comment on Fox 13 News because of that. Shh! We're not biased news. Shh! And in that interview, John Dehlin was asked, would you ever consider coming back to church? And John Dehlin hesitated and said, yeah, they'd have to change some things, and I don't think they want me back. No, you're not coming back. And the reason why is because it's all over scriptures, and he doesn't even know it. It's the test. Christians know it. Mormons should know it. Everybody knows it. Everybody incorrectly quotes from it, pulling it out of context and not understanding. You can't judge me. Keep reading. How about I talk about beam and mote? Oh yeah, I remember beam and mote, yeah. That's how you judge. What about wolves in sheep's clothing and judging by fruits? Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, you should have kept reading. We can judge. They tell us how. And so once you know the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is lying, and they come out and say, we lied. This is now the new truth. Believe it the same way you believe the previous lie that we told you. You know that they are incapable of telling you the truth. That's the test. It's right there in the scriptures. Hey, guess what? It's also in the Book of Mormon. And it's not just in 3 Nephi chapter 14 where it's plagiarized. Everybody is supposed to run the test. And yet, as Mormons, since 1993, after the failed study experiment, all Mormons now have to deny logic, linguistic science, other science fields, truth, and use spiritual witness feelings. And so I caught Oakes at the funeral declaring himself Jesus. And nobody got it. Nobody wants to believe me, even though I show you the clip. And everybody knows, and nobody gets it. Nobody wants to get it. Not even the Expo Nevermos. Oakes declared himself Jesus. He's the head of the church. So when he says Jesus is the head of the church, what did you think he meant? I'm the head of the church. I speak for Jesus. Jesus is the head of the church because I'm the head of the church. This is a real simple deductive conclusion. Oakes is Jesus. See, Nevermos and even Expos will say, well, yeah, he's just a delusional, mentally retarded man with tardive dyskinesia. And so, yeah, you can't take him seriously. But he's the head of the church now. He's running things. He's giving orders. And he thinks he's Jesus. And this doesn't disturb anybody but me? John Dehlin doesn't even cover it. He's off in his own little fantasy world getting $89K for a video he did 5 years ago about how Bishop James Stevenson was so mean to him in his excommunication. And then I see baptisms for the dead, rebaptism, and John C. Bennett. some guy named John G. Turner, who apparently is a Presbyterian, doing articles for John. I don't get it. He is not an authority on Mormonism. Why are you referring to him often? Because when I go over these, John Turner, John Turner, John Turner, John Turner, John Turner, John Turner. He is not the expert in Mormonism. He didn't even get born and raised in the church to know about the lies of the church, to get that information correct about the lies that they still don't know what the truth is. My struggle So we'll start off with the upcoming on the 5th, which is today at noon, with a mom gone porn to provide for her family. Is John going to provide us with pictures? No. It's all going to be talk, talk, talk. That was funny. And so some woman named Kate Smith. You know, this was dealt with decades ago. And I don't think she's doing porn. It doesn't say she's doing porn. And yet, because I covered this, as I found out about it last week, maybe. But it doesn't say. It just says that she's providing for her family. But this used to be the problem in the ancient days, where the church leaders demanded and insisted that all women stay home barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. And when Hinckley got up at priesthood and said that women are not required to go on missions, that caused a Mormon girl rebellion, especially with his 2 granddaughters, who immediately went and signed up to go on missions. And so, as Oakes has, in the last couple of years, pointed out to us, Mormons are not getting married anymore. And, yeah, porn and orgy sex called soft swinging. And so, yeah, the leadership of the church give out orders and give out talks about doctrinal interpretation to the members of the church. And the members of the church believe through spiritual witness feelings, and then they go and do according to their spiritual witness feelings of how true the words of the living prophets of Jesus are, and commit the most horrible of crimes and abominations as a consequence for emulating their words. So, no, this is no longer an issue. The leaders of the church know the economic conditions. Even Benson was starting to recognize that the economic conditions were not ideal for the trad wife Mormon family. And so the church has backed off on that for the most part. They've had to try to pacify women by saying that they're equal partners. Oakes came out at the funeral and bragged about he's the one that allows women to read manuals for lessons. Nobody teaches in this church. Do you not understand this? Everybody reads from the manual. Everybody. Nobody is allowed to go against the manual. You have to stick to the manual. Everybody does it. And that's what Oakes said. I have women now involved in reading the manuals for lessons. That's it. That's all. And so, yeah, the one woman that I did before I found out about it from the funeral, who did a YouTube video summarizing the whole Old Testament in 7 minutes, yeah, she read the introduction of the manual. These kinds of things just make me just cringe as a Mormon. And granted, yeah, I'm of that apostate trial and failed experiment of studying. But I mean, for Mormons to just crash and burn over and over again, and all they can do to respond is hate and threats, just like a knee whore. And they don't know knee whore as much as they would know Korah whore. But if I talked about the javelin, oh yeah, the Desnat group, cool. So, the next one, baptisms for the dead, rebaptism, and John C. Bennett. So yeah, that was 3 days ago, which says 9 days ago here. Somebody screwing up the playlist. And so no, baptisms for the dead was the Danites. They were involved in this because of their plot to overthrow America in the latter days. Thus, the burning of Jesus. So when Oakes gets up and talks about the second coming at the pulpit of conference, he says, the coming of Jesus will burn people. His glory. The wicked will fear and the righteous will rejoice. But the wicked will be destroyed and the righteous will be resurrected. The righteous will be resurrected. Now, according to the church, resurrection means you are dead and you are brought back to life as a zombie apocalypse. So yes, even the righteous are going to die with the second coming of Jesus. But if you're righteous, you will be resurrected to live with Jesus in the millennium. That's Oakes' doctrine on it. Pay attention to the science of linguistics for English of Oakes' usage. Otherwise, he's going to say that he's Jesus Christ and you're going to miss it. He's going to burn us. And all Mormons know Oakes got leaked by a little sister missionary about how he is running test runs for the coming of Jesus, which he now is here. So yes, baptism is only understood for the dead in the context of Christian interpretation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Christianity ignores that passage for the most part, and the church uses it to justify the enslavery to have Mormons be worthy by paying tithing to go to the temple to do the work for their kindred dead. They're holding your dead ancestors hostage, and in order for them to be saved, you've got to pay the church to be worthy to go to the temple to do the ordinance work for them. Because this church isn't true. Remember? You didn't run the test as you should have. And so, yeah, the whole concept is that in order to be righteous, as a Mormon, baptized, you will get resurrected, and thus baptisms for the dead as well. All the Danite plot encoded. And so John C. Bennett, John Turner, didn't do his research properly. Yeah, he was brought in to the Danites. And Joseph Smith put him in as a counselor, as a spy for the Danites. And so John C. Bennett was doing the Danite practices of raping other men's wives. under the guise of being a physician to give out potions to kill the baby and harm the woman, so that they could hide the sexual infidelity that was going on behind Joseph's back. And so as a counselor, he's now with Joseph Smith on a more regular basis, and it was brought up in a conversation that John C. Bennett confessed. Yeah, I'm having sex with other women. Because he believed that the Danites were telling him the truth, that Joseph Smith approved all of this. So he's now in a counselor with Joseph Smith and thinking, hey, this is awesome, having sex with all these women. And now I'm a counselor for the big guy who ordered it all. And Joseph excommunicates him. Thanks for your confession. We don't need 2 or 3 witnesses. And so he's upset. The Danites aren't taking him back. The devil never supports their own. Because they're going to blow their cover. He's going to blow their cover. And so he has to get out. Now, he could have, after Joseph Smith is assassinated, come back and joined. He didn't. Did he? I don't think he did. I'm sure there's probably a Mormon myth that he did. Let's check this. Let's see if the church uses him as the example of how you need to repent. And confess that Dan is the one true God. But to avoid the too frequent repetition of the name Dan, we call him Jesus. Did you not catch on to that? I found their journal entry. Okay, leaving the church. He told the women that the practice, which he termed spiritual wifery, was sanctioned by God and Smith, and that Smith did the same, because the Danites told him. All right. And so, yeah, after getting busted, the Danites were going to assassinate him because he's going to expose them. As the Danites were disguised as women. Yay, they're trans. Hey, Oaks, are you trans? Are you? Is that your mental retardation? That you're a tranny? Let's see, late 1842, 43, 38, 43, 44. John Bennett surprised many by returning briefly to Mormonism and joining forces first with Sidney Rigdon and then with James Strang. Oops, he was doing so well until he started polygamy on Beaver Island. The plane. The Lolita plane. Too soon? And yeah, here's his connection to the Danites. He formed a Halcyon Order of the Illuminati. What is their symbol? The inverted pentagram of Lucifer. Formed on May 1st, 1776. So the Nauvoo Temple that Brigham Young would get dedicated on when? What date, Mormons? Yeah, 1st of May. And what's surrounding the temple? Inverted pentagrams. These are obvious stuff that you don't need to be an expert in a specific scientific field to figure out. But I'm not seeing it doesn't look like he went to, oh wait. term was occasionally used by Mormon leaders such as Brigham Young. Duh! It doesn't say that he rejoined Mormonism. Yeah, the Danites wanting him murdered to keep him silent. He didn't get it. He was just dense. He got played by the Danites and fell right into it, and then couldn't understand what was happening to him. Hasta la vista, baby. You will not be back. And so, poster boy for Mormon gay conversion therapy. Yeah, that ended back in 2021. And, John Dehlin was a big part of that for trying to help gays who are being conversion therapied. And if you don't know what conversion therapy is, it's psychologists. And if you were wicked and watched R-rated movies, A Clockwork Orange is conversion therapy. And in my senior year, I was peer pressured to prove I was not gay by taking a female to the prom, and thought, okay, fine. And so I took the girl that sat at the table by us during the lunchtime hour, and I'm trying to blank on her name. I'm hesitating because I'm trying to remember her name with my social memory. It's one that she wanted shortened rather than the full name. And it's bugging me that I can't remember. But anyway, I had no idea what to do. I'm a Mormon. I'm not supposed to even think about women, because it leads to apostasy. And getting other women's names. Get out of my brain. I want hers. And so we went on a date, and what's your favorite color? What's your favorite? Not that extreme, but yeah, what's your favorite movie was brought up, and she said A Clockwork Orange. And so, being old enough to do my own video rentals so that my parents don't see what I'm renting on their card, I got A Clockwork Orange. And at the end of it, I'm thinking to myself, now why is this her favorite movie? Is it because a guy is getting electrocuted? Is she into torturing men? Or was it more deeper about Stanley Kubrick's genius in movie making? Could have gone either way. She worked at a bookstore. She's perfect for a librarian. Nonetheless. So, yeah, this was a BYU scandal of epic proportions. The rest of the nation doesn't even come close to the extremism of psychology here in Utah. And again, Stanley Smith Stevens, Mormon, that's why. After World War II, the church just went full Nazi to run the continuing human experimentations on Mormons instead. And so the northern Mormons were the psychological manipulation, the southern Utah Mormons were the nuke testing. Just awful when you find out the real history that has been happening by this church's orders to Mormons. It is just pure evil. And John Dehlin, he's nowhere near in the ballpark of what's really going on. Joseph Smith and the Keys of the Universe, John Turner. Presbyterian is not an expert on Mormonism. There's science. If you hadn't caught on yet. Translation? Oh, linguistics. Revelation for calendar dates and clock times? Yeah. Astronomy. Science. Prophecies predicting the future? Yeah. When you know the science, you can predict the future and run the test. That's all it is scientific testing. And so, that's why we know that we had the quadranted meteor showers on the 3rd and the 4th. Because science predicted it. They're prophets. And they don't even know it or claim it. And so this John Turner, clueless. And you got to understand, people have used the excuse that my videos are too long to claim that my video content is wrong. That they don't have time. And yet, not the upcoming one, but the baptisms for the dead, and we'll just go over the hours of each of these videos on this first page. 1 hour 52 minutes, 3 hours 13 minutes, 1 hour 43 minutes, 2 hours 16 minutes, 2 hours 47 minutes, 3 hours 1 hour 59 minutes, 2 hours 21 minutes, 1 hour 40 minutes, 2 hours 17 minutes, 2 hours. So there's no excuse for people to claim that they can't endure my videos other than they don't believe. Just admit you don't believe and you're not going to bother to study to find out. Okay, so the other Isaiah problem. Am I not the expert in the field? Why are you not coming to me? And instead you go to Colby Reddish, whoever the bleep he is. He's not an expert. So no, there's a whole bunch of issues. One is Deutero-Isaiah. The other is, why is Lucifer named in the Book of Mormon? And then the plagiarism from the King James Version of the Bible, errors and all, as the ships of Tarshish, Pleasant Pictures, incorporates both the Septuagint version and the biblical Hebrew text combined together. And there are others, but again, I'm an original, I am one of a kind, and I won't be missed. I missed the Radio from Hell show. When I first moved to Utah, I found them. I went, oh wow, this is cool. Mandatory Metallica. That was not them. That was a different channel. It was K-Bear down in Southern California. I don't know if it was K-Bear here in Utah too. But, you know, it's mandatory. Doubt strengthened my LDS faith. Why is this on here? John, and I am not going to read it or watch it to see how it's a trick and a trap. But yeah, Mormons love to do these kinds of videos. Yeah, I doubted the church and I left, and then my doubt led me to come back to church. Church is so true. Yay, we're Saints Unscripted, and another apostate has confessed the truth and came back. Church is now true. And the not-so-secret lives of not-so-Mormon wives. Oh, women. So yeah, he did a 3-parter on this. The third part only has 17,000, which actually is pretty high. The poster gay boy is 27,000. Who gets electrocuted? Oh, women. And so yeah, the psychological report that came out, that they want to justify having more psychologists and more treatment centers because of the high numbers of kids who are mentally retarded. No. The women are higher than men by far in all categories of mental retardation. And so I put on the meme, has anybody thought to check out the abuse of the church? These kinds of things should be included in a study. Psychology won't do that because they're controlled by the church. And it is so sad that little girls who have great potential, if they would just be free to have access to free education for whatever they wanted to become. Like me, I picked and chose what I wanted to pursue in life. If women could have that same access freely, women would accomplish many great things, invent many things, discover many things, improve the quality of life for mankind. But the suppression, oppression, depression, repression of women for many millennia is just heartbreaking. And so that study was just a diversionary tactic to promote psychology, to get them paid. It was an advertisement for psychology, to claim that they're true and that everybody needs to come to them. So when your child dies as a Mormon mom, oh God. Yeah. You have to talk about doctrine in the funeral. You can't talk about the life of your child that's now gone. And then you can't blame the church, even though hoax got leaked. I'm causing all of your suffering. I am Jesus. Aren't you glad? If you're righteous, you're rejoicing. Turn that frown upside down. And then here's another typical, stereotypical Mormon thing. My Mormon leader abused me as a teen. Yeah, happens all the time. Let's interrupt this woman, not hear her. And then abuse her by sending a psychologist to her when she's feeling mentally retarded for our abuse of her. See, as a psychologist, John can't expose this. He has to distance psychology from the abuses caused by psychology under the orders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He can't throw his career, even though it was at BYU, down the drain. He's unwilling to make that sacrifice. And that's why Mormons don't leave, because they're just like John Dehlin as a psychologist, refusing to confess the obvious. And so, escaping Liberty Jail, I just did that one the other month. The whole Kirtland apostasy. And so, no, he only focuses for an hour and 40 minutes on Joseph fleeing justice. No. There's a bigger story that you missed, John. Or shall I say, John Turner. Dear God. Again, the Danites were behind the sabotaging. Could Joseph Smith write or dictate a well-worded letter? Why do you put the name of the title of the video in the thumbnail? I don't get that tactic. And so that's a non-issue. You know, if you see me, I have the video recording. It's easier this way. Just like it's easier for Joseph Smith to just speak to the people and have people record it. And then he goes over and edits it before it gets published. That's how he did it. When they got published, they were edited by Joseph. The ones that were after the last Doctrine and Covenants publishing, or Times and Seasons publishings, those never got edited by Joseph Smith. And knowing this fact is kind of crucial. It's just easier for us seers to just speak and let it all come out. We'll edit it later. We'll move things around and we'll get to organizing it later. And yet, 11K, so yeah, one of the lesser ones. Extermination orders in Missouri, in Mormon, Missouri. And again, that was part of the Kirtland apostasy. I've done this one previously, the 1838, and then that led to going back to 1837. Yeah, the whole Danite plot was involved. They had orchestrated this from the time when Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball joined. That was their whole plot. Even Benson acknowledged it. Sort of. Section 84 and 86 of the Doctrine and Covenants are Joseph Smith talking to the converts of Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball. And they're the ones that converted the Kirtland gathered Mormons who apostatized. If you don't put the context in perspective and in chronological order, you miss stuff. All right, page number 2. Page number 2. Can one Mormon woman be sealed to 2 men? Not supposed to, but they have happened. They have happened. It just depends on the woman and the first presidencies involved. But it can happen. But again, this is a situation where John is trying to cause controversy when there won't be controversy once Trump finally destroys the world and Oakes takes credit for it as Jesus. Is that polygamy is coming back. The test run was in 2020. And when did they change the law of chastity to polygamy again that no Mormon is following because no Mormon is paying attention? Plain dumb. Yeah, 2019. So Oakes comes out right before the test run in October conference and starts off his talk about a letter from a woman who's concerned about which mansion she will have if she has to share with her first wife, with the first wife of her husband. And he says the catchphrase, "Trust in the Lord." But John is a psychologist and doesn't know sex ed as a Mormon, as we all don't. A woman can only be impregnated by one man at a time. It is impossible to be impregnated by two men at once. Don't even go there with that. Get your mind out of the gutter of soft swinging. Orgy, sex, adultery. Yes. That obviously can be done by two men and one woman, but not pregnancy. Sealings are all about pregnancy. And so this is a ridiculous argument to be making. Losing my Mormon eternal companion to apostasy or death. Spiritual or physical death. And then 1 month ago, see, he stalks me apparently, but it's John Turner. So maybe, I don't, dear God, a Mormon paramilitary group. Because I did these videos before him, and here he is doing videos after I do them. As if they're correcting me? Bleep you. I gave the right information. The dog's making a break for it. And so again, the Danites were the group that were converted by Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball in 1832, that Joseph Smith condemned in September and December of 1832. Just months later, they're already trashing his church. In 1838's History of Visions, Joseph Smith starts off in verse 1. There are evil disposed and designing militant missionaries against the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Do I need to repeat that, or did you catch it? The Danites were the ones who changed the name of the church. It's all right there in the Joseph Smith papers. And so nobody is getting that information right, especially a Presbyterian. Wallace Stegner's Mormon story. You are no authority in my mind. I have no idea who you are. Kirtland Bank scandal, again. I get maybe 50 views at the most. He gets 11K for the Danites, 14K for the Kirtland Bank scandal. That's the Danite plot to sabotage Joseph. God, it pisses me off that the Mormon, Max C., who works down in Utah County to protect the church from me, allows John Dehlin to do the lies to get popular, and the church doesn't go after him. The church comes after me. Again, Let me repeat this over again. Heber C. Kimball, Brigham Young join in April 1832. By September and December, Joseph Smith is condemning their converts for preaching false doctrine, for going contrary to the Book of Mormon. He calls them apostates, the missionaries. And so, 1835 comes along, and he establishes the 12 apostles, and 1834 was the new name of the church to the Church of the Latter-day Saints. So 1836 is the temple in Kirtland. These are not Christian stuff. And so Joseph Smith then calls out to gather the saints to Kirtland to the temple as a similitude of the latter-day gathering to Zion. And to try to put in Mormons into that mindset to help teach them of the bit larger picture and thus pave the way for the latter days so that Mormons would know who to look for. And Brigham Young. And so these Mormons come to Kirtland, and they find out, what the hell? A temple? A Book of Mormon? A Bible? We've got a Bible and we need no more Bible. A prophet? They're pissed. They thought they were converted to a Christian religion. And they're pissed. And the Danites, during the same time, had taken out loans from the Kirtland Safety Society and refused to pay them back, thus sabotaging the bank, so that these Christians who are pissed now have a bank failure. It was an all-out war. And a group of them formed the Old Standard Church of Christ and left Joseph Smith. And they tried to assassinate Joseph Smith and Sidney Rigdon. And they had to flee the state to come to Missouri eventually. And so the Mormons, who were Danites, obviously weren't the ones who left to form the Christian church, because they had phase 2 to implement now. They were the ones who took the believing Mormons in an exodus from Kirtland to Missouri, and then boom, Adam-on-Diamond and the Mormon War, to frame and blame Joseph and lock him up in Liberty Jail as Brigham Young takes over the church. And John Dehlin can't figure this out. John Turner can't figure this out. He's a professional in religious studies. John is a psychologist. He knows all about spiritual witness feelings. It's sickening how thousands get indoctrinated with falsehoods so that nobody comes to my videos. See, people like and subscribe and know and follow every single video of John Dehlin's. They trust him to tell them the truth, and he's been lying. Because he doesn't know the truth, he's just a doubt promoter. Everybody knows the church isn't true, except for the few remaining Mormons, who are Danites. Nahum, the strongest evidence for the Book of Mormon. Are you seriously? What are you doing with LDS discussions? Are you trying to bridge the gap? No, it is not proof. It is not evidence for the Book of Mormon. It is not literal history. Joseph Smith tells you, the Book of Mormon tells you, it's not literal history. It is a work of a seer with prophecy and revelation, utilizing the translations from Paleo, Hebrew, and Egyptian. Hello? Spirit. Science. And so none of this, it's just ridiculous argument that Mormons make. They're all about proving the Book of Mormon as literal history, because the prophets have to be true. But you didn't run the test on the prophets, and you didn't run the test on the Book of Mormon. Exfo Nevermose did. They know at least that it's not literal history. They don't know what it is, and so they say it's a fake, a fraud, and would burn it and throw it away, and would never allow it to be studied in a literature class as literature. You know, at least John, the chiasmus guy, who started Mormon apologetics at BYU. Oh, dear God, his son. That's just sad. It really is vital that if you're in a field that you're supposed to be a professional, that you actually are a professional. Because if you're a fraud and a fake and passing it down to your family generations, you know eventually you're going to get exposed. You know your family's going to find out. Nonetheless. So no, none of the stories are literal history. And John Dehlin knows this, and that's why I don't understand why he's doing these kinds of videos. Because his website has all of the claims of how the Book of Mormon is not literal history, and all the various plagiarisms and blah blah blah, and he focuses on Captain Kidd. Joseph Smith had nothing to do with the composition of the Book of Mormon, John. Sidney Rigdon and Senior had to rewrite the 116 pages because Junior failed to babysit Martin Harris, claiming his son's dead. What kind of an excuse is that? The Methodists kicked him out of Harmony north of Pittsburgh. Gardens after Eden, joy after Mormonism. So now you're into actual orgy sex, eyes wide shut. No more soft swinging for you, dear. You're free from Mormonism and the soft swinging. But yeah, it's just lying about the Garden of Eden. The Danites lied about the Garden of Eden. It's all part of their latter-day plot. Adam-on-Diamond is their secret headquarters code word for the latter-day Zion. It never was supposed to be Utah even. And so for Nelson and Oaks to push that Zion is going to be still here in Utah is kind of weird that they're setting everybody up. But it's also disturbing that they're ignoring Mormons outside of Utah and telling them to stay where you are, because that's the gathering. And then, again, oh my hell. I do these videos. I did this twice, reading it for you within the last several months. And here, John Dehlin, during this time period of me going over the primary source document, is again saying, was Fanny Allgaier polygamy or adultery? Well, was she married? No. So it's not adultery. Is it child rape? That's the question. Polygamy or child rape? And it's neither. Because you're a dumbass, John. There are primary source documents that expose this. Now I gotta figure out Nauvoo PDF. Sealings, adoptions, and anointings. This person took the original manuscript that I also have and then put it into an order for each Mormon and the sealings to wives that they had, so that it's quick and easy to reference. But I've got the original document, like I said. So we go down to Smith, Joseph Jr., Stoker, Snyder, Liza Roxy, I believe this is him, and Marianne, Helen Marr, Nancy, Fanny, there she is. She was endowed 7th of January, 1845, in the Nauvoo Temple. Finally built, but not dedicated, and she's getting endowed. Does that not strike you as concerning? Because what does the church always say? We have the announcement for the Salt Lake Temple open house. Are they going to be performing ordinances before the open house? During the open house? While the world and the press trample all over it, wearing the booties? Will they? Will they be doing ordinances during the open house or before the open house? Because it's finished? Are they holding their Thursday meetings in the upper room again? Because it's finished for the most part. It's just the interior decorating that they're doing now. It's going to take them a couple more years through into next year. No. Why? Because the church has led us to believe that once it's dedicated, it's then approved by God, and now you can use it. That's the whole purpose for the dedication ceremony. And so what the hell is going on? What is Brigham Young doing? But guess what? They didn't even seal Fanny Young by proxy to Joseph Smith. She was never a polygamous wife. It is only the hearsay that made the claim and got her listed here. But there's no documentation in the little black book of Brigham Young Epstein. She wasn't even sealed for time. None of it. All of it is a lie. So, let me again go over with you my family, the Fulmers. Desdemona Fulmer. She was endowed 21st of January, 1845. So she was born in 1809. So the math, 36. But 35 because it's January, not October. So she's 35 years old when she gets endowed in preparation for her sealing by proxy to Joseph Smith Jr. on the 26th of January, 1846 in the Nauvoo Temple. And Brigham Young sealed her by proxy. John D. Lee was the clerk. My whole Fulmer family knew that Joseph Smith is not a polygamist, not an adulterer, not a child rapist, was faithful to only Emma the whole time. And yet John Dehlin is getting popular by pushing the lie with 16K views. What the hell, John? You're upset because I know you're a psychologist? You reached out to me. I merely responded, and then you went dark. And then I said, did you want me for anything? Didn't you call me a psychologist? Aren't you a psychologist? I'm not the psychologist, you are. And so, new Mormon essay on Joseph Smith's character. Again, Sandra Tanner, come on, girl. She doesn't even believe in the Sidney Rigdon wrote the Book of Mormon theory. She thinks Joseph did it. Just admit Gail Miller got her revenge on you. Oh, God. Ooh. So now this is interesting because the report about young women in the church here in Utah is that they're mentally retarded. And now I see the bigger context of why psychology in Utah is calling young women mentally retarded. Because they are. They're leaving the Mormon church to do porn, I guess. Everybody's having fun but me. 4 hours for this one. And only 8.3 or 83? 83K. Oh, damn. Yeah, this is a big one. Psychology is calling Mormon women, young women, mentally retarded. The church is condemning young women for not getting married, for going on missions, for getting an education, becoming a career woman, even though it's porn, for getting into porn, and that's why they banned porn in Utah and blacklisted adults so that they can prevent the Mormon girls from getting it rich on porn. And to keep it all hidden from Utahns, so that only the rest of the world knows that Mormon women are slut whores. The church is trying to cover all of this up and hide it, just like Lucifer in the temple text of Brigham Young. See, you are naked. Take you fig leaves and make you aprons. Father will see your nakedness. Quick, hide. Lucifer's doctrine. Cover up and hide. We all know it as Mormons, and yet here the church is doing it as part of their religious freedom. And the Kirtland Temple dedication, that's not the dedication, you dumbass. That was the week after, on the 3rd of Passover. Joseph Smith is having a vision, not a literal history. He is doing the calendar date and clock time for this Passover. God, mentally retarded. Mormon Church saved my life. Mormon Church saved my life, then I lost my faith. Yeah, it was a trap. It's like the missionaries. They're all happy. Oh, yeah, it's so true. I feel it's so true. I spent all my money to come out to get you to join the church and pay the church money. It's not an MLM. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not a multi-level marketing or the Ponzi scheme. No, it's all true. It's God's economy. And then they go to church and they're abandoned. Wait a minute. Joseph, temples, Book of Mormon. Women with agency. This is not Christian. Oh, the women with agency have been excommunicated? They're not Mormons anymore? Yeah, this happens all the time. The church does this in the church news all the time. That's why I always report it. To warn you, no, it is not charity. It's a business deal. It's an investment. They're trying to con people into thinking the church is so true. Oh, but millions of dollars, Travis. Look at it. Do not know what a criminal operation is and how to identify it. Family Feud and Scandal. Again, John Turner is not the expert on Mormon history. Stop using him, John Dehlin. God. An African Kenya Mormon story. Dr. Joe Natia? I'm going blinder and blinder every year. Origins of the Book of Abraham. I think I covered this when I saw it last year. Again, I want to scream, John. Just because you are upset that you are a psychologist, I am still the expert in the field. Abraham chapter 1 verse 11. Now this priest had offered upon this altar 3 virgins at one time, who were the daughters of Onita, one of royal descent, directly from the loins of Ham. These virgins were offered up because of their virtue, and they would not bow down to worship gods of wood or of stone. They were killed upon this altar, and it was done after the manner of the Egyptians. So yeah, you think it's literal history, don't you? Remember the spirit? So, Matthew chapter 25. No man knows the day or the hour, huh? Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins. Is it the latter-day kingdom in heaven? Because they're talking about the second coming, if you're a Christian, about Jesus telling them that I am coming back to earth to establish the earthly kingdom in the millennium, but I'm the Son of Man, Son of Man, Son of Man, Son of Man, Son of Man. Well, we asked you about you, not this Son of Man guy. No man knows the day or the hour. No, kingdom of heaven is code for sign in the heavens, for the calendar dates and clock times of the 10 virgins. And virgins in Abraham chapter 1, Joseph Smith knows about this. Oh, how does he know? Never studied your scriptures and you're not following me. Joseph Smith translation, Revelation chapter 12. So, sign in the heavens, astronomy, for calendar dates and clock times. likeness of things on the earth, the vision. Just like a dream. I had a dream this morning. There were humans in my dream this morning, as is quite often. None of them are real. At least I don't think so. But it was all in my head. It's a dream. They are a likeness of things on the earth. Not literal history. Verse 7. Joseph Smith tells us that the woman who is Virgo, because Isaiah says it's a virgin, Virgo, sign in the heavens, remember? Virgo, likeness of things on the earth, a woman, the prophecy, the prediction of the future. Joseph Smith says the woman is Joseph Smith's church. So the 10 virgins, going back to Oaks, the 10 virgins obviously represents members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He apparently didn't read the Joseph Smith translation, because he could have referenced it. So yes. So Matthew 25, about the kingdom of heaven, is the latter-day millennial kingdom. Same here. Sign in the heavens. There's a virgin involved in outer space. So true. Literal history. No. Not complicated. And so yes, Joseph Smith is giving you the 3 sets, but only the lunar eclipses, because they're virgins for Virgo of the church, which is religion, not government. And so instead of the sun for government, it's the moon for religion. And they are of the loins of Ham, who has not the authority of the priesthood, and therefore is not the full moon, but a full moon eclipsed, a blood red moon. Ta-da! So the 3 are the 3 of the 10 virgins who are foolish, who are sacrificed. Blood. Blood, mother. The blood. Red rum. Red rum. See how Joseph Smith is writing the book of Abraham now? Dumbass John Dehlin. This is my field. Back off. Dear God. And so yeah, 2014, 2015, 2016. The lunar eclipses in Virgo for each of those 3 years. And then now go to verse 12. God. And it came to pass that the priests laid violence upon me, that they might slay me also, as they did those virgins upon this altar. So Abraham is a male, not a female. So it's not the moon, is it? It's the sun. Solar eclipse. 2017. Joseph Smith is telling you the beginning of the latter days here in Abraham chapter 1. The calendar dates and clock times so that you would know. You all missed it because you're not the expert. I am. So yeah, facsimile number 1, 21st of August 2017. Facsimile number 2, 14 October 2023. Facsimile number 3, 8 April 2024. Oh, it forms the first and last letters of the Paleo-Hebrew script that woman had no interest in. Over the United States of America. Oh, they also went over Mormon historical sites. Well, that's a coincidence. I'm sure that's all it is. Mormons couldn't possibly be the house of Israel. For all of the prophecies. Nope. Not at all. Mormonism and the anti-blessings in Kirtland. And again, he's repeating the same information about anti-Mormonism and blessings in Kirtland. It's just stupid. You know nothing of the subject matter, you dumbass. And escaping Scientology. Really? You're trying to convert other people to your psychological abuse and lies? Why Scientology? And you did a two-parter here? Oh, dear God. You know, if she's not the gift girl, I don't care. It's rated R. So you guys don't know what I'm talking about. And then Zion's camp. You had no clue, did you? Had no clue. Don't know what you're talking about, John. And it's John Turner also. Everything church history, John Dehlin defaults to John Turner as a source for truth. God. It's blind leading the blind. And so Sandra Tanner, she did a new essay in translation and polygamy. Oh, Sandra. You were great obtaining the original church documents, and then you blew it with your interpretation of your lighthouse ministry. You should have just stuck to publishing and posting the new or the original source documents of the church that the church has been lying to us about. You would have been just fine. Gail Miller wouldn't have had to have gotten so angry with you. I declined my Mormon mission call. Why did you submit it? You have to submit it. You have to go to the bishop. You have to be approved, be a full tithe payer, be a no-fap warrior for Jesus. You submit the paperwork, answering all the questions, and then the first presidency, and it's now the quorum of the 12 apostles now that were delegated to do that. And then you're approved and you get called to a mission. And so he's saying that from the time he submitted to the time he was approved, he lost his testimony, stopped reading the Book of Mormon and going to church. I'm not going to fall for this clickbait. And you have to pay. That's why it's clickbait. You have to pay John Dehlin. I mean, yeah, these are free, but he keeps begging for money. Oh, you got to help fund me because I can't do these videos of such high quality. And I notice she's gone. Nuance Ho is gone. Interesting. So she did break up with him. Was it because of me? Bad romance. There we go. Both versions are fine, but we should probably use Lady Gaga's. There's a cover band that does it. How could be Halcyon. Something like that. But anyway. And then Jeremy Runnels. Seriously? He plagiarized the Tanners. Didn't you know this, John? You got Sandra Tanner on here. She could have told you Jeremy Runnels plagiarized her. Mormonism, shadow of reality. Come on, John. CES letter versus the Book of Mormon. See, I can answer Jeremy Runnels if he would just ask me those questions rather than his dumbass CES director. Which I think he left. I think he left the church, so good for you, Jeremy, but still. I mean, dear God. These are very simple if you get the right interpretation. And it's too late in the video to tell you this now. Should have been done at the beginning, where Mormons can get pissed. Arrgh! There's only one interpretation, mine! I'm the one interpretation. Well, are you going against Jesus Oaks? Dehlin, Jesus H. Oaks. Brilliant, and nobody heard it. We can put it in the picture, though. Jesus H. Oaks Christ. Nobody will understand. They'll not compare it with the other thumbnail. Chess champion raised in a cult. Mormonism? I'm doubtful. Because if you're doing Scientology, you're doing other stuff too. Mob violence against Mormons in Missouri. Again, this John Turner needs to shut the hell up. You need to back off, dude. You are not doing your research correctly. You need to cut it out. And John Dehlin, shame on you for using a Presbyterian to do this. Dear God, that is just pathetic. So that's it. That's it. We're done. I just did the 3 pages. I didn't want to go any further. And yeah, it's almost 2 hours here anyway. Oh, dear God. All these years, all these videos, all my work in life, all in vain. Mormons don't give a damn. Ex-foes don't give a damn. Women are suffering. And that's... If you knew my life, if you knew Beth in kindergarten, why I do fashion plates, and to see the suffering of women, just pisses me